welcome everybody to a product spotlight. Today is going to be another day where we are talking about building it better. We're going to be talking about hemp. We're going to talk about the process and the product. Today we are talking about how to create building products with hemp, featuring Melissa Nelson of South Bend Industrial Hemp and how they process hemp from their own farm and from hemp supplied by other farmers. We are talking about an explosive market and sustainability. Today on Dave Cooper Live, you will be hearing about hemp, hemp block, hempcrete, and the many building applications for hemp. But where does hemp come from? That's a great question. Wondering how and where to find hemp for your building materials production needs? How can your building product manufacturing company create more sustainable construction products? That's what today is all about, linking the building products industry with the hemp industry production chain. Please welcome today Melissa Nelson of South Bend Industrial Hemp. South Bend Industrial Hemp Processing is an American-made, I love that, American-made hemp processing facility sourcing hemp from local farmers, creating raw materials, hurd, and bast, and offering manufacturing companies an affordable 100% American-made hemp option for their production needs. But first, we can't do any of this. We cannot be advancing construction and helping us build it better without our sponsors. So a big shout out to Ben Hershey and the team at Forward Solutions Group for allowing us to deliver these examples of construction innovation. Forward Solutions Group is successfully driving companies to succeed where others have failed. For more information, please reach out to Ben Hershey, the man, the myth, the legend at ben@forwardsolutionsgroup.com. And another big shout out to Nick Coubre and the team at Howick Ltd. Howick has a long history of innovation in cold form steel manufacturing and produces innovative precision roll forming technology for customers throughout the U.S. and the world. Check out their machine buyer's guide for off-site modular construction or fast build construction with light steel for framing. Learn more about how they are shaping the world of construction by visiting their website at howickltd.com. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, welcome to the show, Melissa.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Now, this is exciting. It's awesome to have you on the show. Very much appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, because we all know people in the farming industry have busy, busy lives and very, very busy days. So we always start off this show by asking people the same question, and that is, we want to know everything about you from the moment you were born to this very moment in time. Do not leave out any of the good stuff from the hospital, or I will call your brother and bring him on the phone, and I'm sure he will share things you do not want shared on live shows. But all kidding aside, let us know a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I grew up in Northeast Kansas. I graduated and was just, typical 4-H FFA, grew up on a farm. It was more of a hobby farm. I had cattle that I showed in 4-H, etc. Went off to college, played basketball at Fort Hays, played basketball, full ride scholarship there, and then completed my bachelor's in biology, went to work at a research facility in Larned, Kansas. That's kind of where my research experiences started. I decided to go work over in Australia during the winter time for 2 winters. And so I got to work and travel all over Oz, being a contract researcher there. Came home, went back to get my master's degree from Colorado State, graduated with that. And then in 2018, I opened my own research facility in Great Bend, Kansas, and then farm alongside with my husband and my brother-in-law. And then together we created South Bend Industrial Hemp. So
that's awesome. So, I mean, this farm's been around for a while. Hemp is not the only product that you grow, but it is a new product for you that's really, really taking off. Tell everybody a little bit about the farm. I mean, it's a large farm. So tell us a little bit about that, and then let's get into the hemp itself.
Yeah, so Aaron and Richard, they've grown up on the farm. They've been working on it since they were, under child labor laws, when you're like 10, 12, driving the tractor, doing what you need to do. They grow mainly corn, soybeans, wheat, milo. And then we kind of ventured into specialty crops. So before industrial hemp was legal, we did a lot of teff grass, which is a warm season, high protein grass that gets sent out to Colorado for your high end horse barns. And our contract there was kind of completing. We didn't really need to grow teff anymore because most cattle farmers around here aren't going to pay the premium prices for the teff grass. So we were looking for an alternative on our farm. And if you remember back in 2018, commodity prices were very, very poor in the farming industries. Corn was $3.50 a bushel. Soybeans was not much better. And so we were looking for some way to diversify our farm. Hemp definitely caught our eye, mainly caught Richard and Aaron's eye. I was not on board with it at the beginning. And they just said, do some research, read about this, because I'm a very data-driven person. And when I started seeing the potential for the industrial side of this, we've always been fiber and grain focused. Yes, we do grow some CBD. We do have a product line, et cetera, but fiber and grain, and where we see this exploding throughout the commercial market for farmers in our area. And that's really where we went 110%. So that's kind of the farm. We also diversify with cattle, which is why hemp grain is very interesting to us as well for its protein content, et cetera. And so we've been here for a long time and trying to find a way to get the farm evolved to the next generation.
And so which one's your brother-in-law, husband in this picture?
Yeah. So in that picture to my right, so my right in that picture is my husband, Aaron. Yes. Orange hat is Aaron. Red hat is Richard. And Richard's my brother-in-law and Aaron's my husband.
Now, and those are hemp, I guess, hemp weeds that you're standing in front of, right? Or hemp plants?
Those are hemp plants. Yes, that's from our 2020 grow.
Yeah.
And so we harvested that mainly for fiber. We did come in and pull some grain off just to get some experience, and they were monster plants. They're about 14 feet tall.
14 feet tall. So, all right, so we're going to get into this, everybody. So listen, if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section, and we will try and get to them the best we can. This is such an emerging product that's coming out. So we're really excited to be talking about this. We are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. So get your tweets on if you're not tweeting us yet. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. And if you are not subscribed to South Bend Industrial Hemp, please go to their Instagram page and their Facebook page. You can see it on the screen. We'll be sharing more of that here shortly. And follow them as well. This is such an emerging product, and it's growing so fast. Melissa, since you started this whole idea of growing hemp, how fast has it been growing for you? Not literally, but like how fast has the industry been growing?
I was going to say it grows about an inch a day. But in terms of industry,
yeah.
My husband says this all the time. He's like, we kicked the horse and we're really just holding on for dear life at this point, because what we've accomplished in such a short amount of time and how rapidly the industry is changing, and what manufacturers are calling for, I think
show up if you want to get
is moving significantly faster than what we could have ever projected.
Yeah. And we're hearing that across the board. This is hemp month, right? We're at the very end of March is hemp month. You guys had a lot of events going on. What are you seeing as kind of the most innovative products in the hemp market right now? Is it clothing? Is it construction? Is it, plastics? What is the most explosive product right now that you're seeing?
I think explosive and innovative are two different things. And the reason I say that is because explosive is your hempcrete market, and that is, your natural building. We work with a lot of builders, like Adobe floors, like they're 100% natural within their housing.
Okay.
To me, that's not innovative. I mean, it is innovative, but it's not the most innovative, because hempcrete is just hurd, lime, and water. So you can see that here, just the chunks of hempcrete. Most of them are 1/4 to 1/2 inch, dust-free, fiber-free. Those are extremely important to builders. And so the concept is extremely simple. Don't get me wrong. What they do is extremely complex. I'm not out there building houses. I just supply the stuff so that they can do that. but a fairly simple process. But when you get into like innovative, and that would be the bioplastics industry, you
Okay.
know, when you start making TVs out of and pelletizing products, that's pretty crazy. This is 3D printing filament, which is what this turns into. We've got everything from sunglasses. You know, if you can make it with a 3D printer, they're using hemp to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the more complex things that I think people don't realize is the textile. You know, to get to the point where you've got sticks in the field to a finished yarn that you can make a t-shirt or a quilt out of, there is so many steps that have to happen before those processes start to finish. That a lot of that equipment they're having to redevelop here in the United States. So I think yarn's the most innovative, along with bioplastics, and then hempcrete is the most explosive.
Sure. And you know, this 3D printing thing's, you know, getting a lot of attention these days. We saw, you know, Black Buffalo was at the National Association of Home Builders IBS show a couple months ago. Are you working with any 3D printers on a mass scale that's doing housing to come up with formulations possibly with the hemp?
Not on a mass scale. The company that we're working with is called Hemp Vision,
Okay.
and so they actually came to our open house. We ran into them at NOCO 2 years ago, which is
Mm-hmm.
one of the largest hemp conferences in the United States. We do a large open house on our farm every year, you know, open up the fields, do a lot of education. We love education. And so I said, would you love to bring your 3D printer down? And they were actually making items for people at the event. And so it was really cool to see that, you know, connection. When you
Yeah.
walk out to the field, you see this, and then here's the printer actually making your product.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So
And
I would say smaller scale, what
on
we're
a
working
smaller
on.
scale. So, you know, the demand side of this, for this market really to take off, for more building products and more sustainable products to be made out of hemp, what's holding it back right now? How come it's not growing faster? I mean, it's fast, but it's not mainstream fast. We're not finding it in Home Depots and the other parts of the world where, you know, people are buying product materials.
Volume.
That's
And
right.
it's really chicken before the egg. You know,
Mm-hmm.
why we ended up starting a processing facility in general back in, because in 2020 we had, you know, those 14-foot plants that you saw on that picture, and you had farmers watching us now for 2 years, and they're like, wow, we would grow that if we had a place to take it, you know,
Yep.
because farmers are very set in their ways, and so they're going to watch you do it first, and then once you either have a good or a bad experience, then they'll
Right.
tailor their experience after. So
Yep.
we were experiencing some success, and they said, man, we would grow this if we had a place to take it. And then I had manufacturers calling me saying, where are you taking this to get it processed? We want it. And at that time, the processor that we did everything right. We had a contract, we did everything that we were supposed to do. So I called the processor and I said, hey, we're 30 days out from harvest, just confirming this is how you want it baled, etc. And he said, oh, I forgot to tell you, I lost my funding. I can't buy your bales. And it was such a crushing day. I remember it like it was yesterday, and it really continues to drive us forward because I don't
Yeah.
ever want to feel that way again. And so we just sat down and we're like, listen, we either need to push this forward and start breaking open this bottleneck, or we need to get out because there's no processors. Like, everybody waits for the other person to do it, and we just
Right.
stopped doing that. We just started doing it ourselves. So we started looking at decorticators. We found Formation Ag's FiberTrack 660 in Monte Vista, Colorado. We loved that it was American made. We loved the USA. We love supporting local, and so that's what we wanted to pursue. And so we worked with Corbett there, got a down payment on December 1st of 2020, and actually turned on our machine for large scale production June 1st of 2021. So a lot of
Wow.
chicken, a lot of chicken in the egg. And the reason is because to do the math, and I love math. It's dependable. It tells me everything that I need to know. So many acres had to go in the ground to keep that machine running until the next harvest period. So there's a
Right.
lot of prep work that has to happen. And if you don't fulfill that and your machine is sitting idle, then why would manufacturers invest into changing their lines over to support hemp and hemp manufacturing if you can only supply them for 6 months out of the year?
Right.
So do we have the volume to meet those needs? In some areas, yes. In all the contracts that I see run through my desk, no, we can't even entertain most of those contracts in terms of volume. And then on the flip side, you've got to have the farming ground and the farming economic side of it to work, because no farmer is going to grow it if they don't have a contract. You know, it's not like the co-op. I can't put grain in my bin or just dump it down at the co-op and pay a storage fee. Like, you have to have a home for this fiber. And so it's why I think we see a lot of success, is because we literally are from seed to final sale. And so we can be support through all those steps in the industry.
Sure. So let's get a question here. We got the Dr. Brent Musson. Good to see you, the good doctor. As a building material, he wants to know, how does hemp hold up against pests and mold?
Yeah, so this is pretty cool. It is actually mold resistant, pest resistant, as well as fire resistant. And so a lot of the work that I do, I volunteer for Farm Bureau. I'm a state representative for young farmer and ranchers in my district. And so I love highlighting, you know, I went to our insurance agent and I said, listen, I got to give my money to somebody. Like, why can't I give it to you guys? And so Farm Bureau has been amazing touring our facility. We've had the president out. Just learning more about the potentials of hemp. Yep. And so when they started doing the tests for mold resistant, fire resistant, and pest resistant, they're like, yeah, we're getting on board. So that's what makes me excited, because the hemp lovers were kind of like an echo chamber. Like, we all love hemp, so we all know it's great. But when you can start pulling in those industries that are outside of hemp and seeing the potential, that's where it's going to grow, and grow at a rapid pace. So
yeah, for sure. Well, listen, I appreciate that question, Dr. Brent Musson. We always love when you join the show. Super smart guy in the offsite construction industry in California. So my guess is the good doctor is probably trying to figure out how he incorporates some of this stuff into the awesome work that he's doing at Musson Industries out there. Sam Bergen said, can you delve on explosive term? Is that a comment on my explosive growth? Why aren't we seeing it? But I think you kind of hit on that already, right? There's a limitation on what we can do based on the processing ability of the demand. Is that accurate in what you were saying?
Yeah. And so what you need to realize is, with the CBD crash that happened in 2019, you had a lot of farmers get in thinking that they were going to be able to retire off of this, make $100,000 an acre, which, if you're unfamiliar to the farming community, an acre is about the size of a football field. And most returns per acre on like corn or soybean is anywhere from $300 to $600 an acre, $300 to $700 an acre. Like, that's pretty average. So when you go into a farmer and say you can make $100,000 on essentially the size of a football field, like, a lot of common sense went out the window. And so farmers put a lot of their farms into CBD production, which caused bankruptcy. There's a lot of farms that were lost. And so when fiber and grain started picking up traction, a lot of farmers were very weary to put it in the ground, because they're like, I got burned pretty bad on this. You know, even if they didn't go bankrupt and they survived the financial hardship of that, they're very, very apprehensive. And so getting that support. And then another thing to think of, so the top 4 crops in the United States are corn, soybeans, wheat, and milo. The lowest of those, 5 million acres of milo went into production last year in the United States. Hemp was like 89,000. So we are not even holding a candle to the 4th largest grain commodity. So when I say scale needs to happen, it's got a long ways to go before we are competitive in terms of quantity of acres.
Right.
And again, it all comes down to economics. You know, we work with our farmers and doing profit and loss. You know, what's your potential acre potential for profit? And at the end of the day, if you can't beat corn or soy or milo or whatever they're growing on their farm, why would they change? Yes, soil health, there's lots of benefits for hemp. You know, a lot of people believe in the regenerative ag movement that's happening, but it has to make sense, because you can have the greatest idea in the world, but if you can't support it, then your doors can't stay open.
Sure. So if I wanted to, you know, if I was a manufacturer of some sort and I wanted to start looking at using hemp as an alternative in maybe a manufacturing process for a product I already have, how does somebody even start trying to understand it? If there's an application, is there a way to do it? Is there a process involved, or do we just call Melissa Nelson, the great scientist in the hemp world, and say, Melissa, this is what I want to do. Can you help me figure it out?
honestly, a large, like we are everything in the hemp industry right now. There's companies that call us up just with that exact scenario and they say, hey, I make this product and I
Yeah.
want to find a way to incorporate hemp. How do I do it? And I'm like, I've never made a syringe or, whatever product that
Right.
they have. And I'm like, tell me how you make the product. And this is where Aaron, my husband, really shines. He does a lot with that, diaper manufacturers, like literally anything that you can think of, they've called us asking us saying, how do I use hemp? And
Right.
so it's a lot of verification. So we'll send them like a 300-pound sample. They'll run it through their machine. They'll get feedback, figure out what specs need to change, call us back. We alter our machine settings, send it out again. And so it's a lot of back and forth right now. And then I do know there are some people that are working a lot with product development. So that way they've got a small decorticator.
Okay.
They work on a very small scale. They can get you your product development for verification samples, and then you can come to us and say, this is what my guy told me I need. Can you do it? And we say yes or no. So.
And that's how you get started. And
Mhm.
and are you so overwhelmed right now that you say no to people?
I try not to. We love supporting small. We
Yep.
love supporting the startup businesses because we are a startup business, and we really believe in this industry. And who am I to say because you have a small product compared to Levi Strauss's jeans or anything like that? Like, why is your product any less important than those big mega manufacturers?
That's right.
So as long as you can pay for it, I'm willing to help support it,
Right.
because we
Sure.
got to stay in business ourselves. So,
Right. Are you finding with the right now the cost to grow, process, are the materials such as the hemp wool or the hemp insulation and all these things, hempcrete, is it lot less money to use that product right now comparable, or are you seeing it being more expensive because it's still in the beginning phases and there's not enough volume?
I'm going to say both. When we first started, like a year ago, hemp building was not economical compared to typical lumber or
Yep.
anything that you're finding at Home Depot, etc. Um, Everything that has hurt everywhere else with COVID policy changes, et cetera,
Mhm.
has continued to drive the hemp industry forward. And that's it's just that's the whole point of
Right.
diversification is so you can do that. But all the hurricanes that came through and wiped out the lumber industry, that helps us. The six black swan events that happened for the agricultural industry, which
Mhm.
caused fertilizer to go up 131% since
Yep.
last year, that's helped move hemp forward. And so while it hurts our corn production, it helps our hemp production. But in terms of building, now that building costs are so high, hemp
Yeah.
is actually competitive. And we're seeing a lot of people want to move towards more sustainable products.
Okay.
Carbon neutral is a huge buzzword right now that's happening. And so
Mhm.
hemp continues to gain traction in that.
Got it. Got it. Let's go to your Facebook page here and let's look at a
Okay.
couple things, and you can maybe walk us through what we're seeing here, because I think it's fabulous that you're in the farming industry as a scientist. You're in a family business. It's an American made business, right? And what I really love about it is you guys have been reinventing yourself with the hemp crop and how you do it, and you couldn't find the processor. So like most American farmers or innovators out there, you said, well, the heck with that, we'll just do it ourselves. Right.
Yeah.
That's the American spirit, and that's what's so awesome about it. So I definitely want to make sure we touch on that and kind of show some people what we have here. What is this machine we're looking at? And I apologize if the sound kicks on while I do this stuff.
Yeah. So that's your decorticator. Um, the way it works is we require only round bales to come into our facility
Yep.
because we are chasing the long stranded fiber market. And
Okay.
so by having a round bale, it basically feeds in counterclockwise, which is
Right.
going to unravel the bale and send it through in a mat. And
Mhm.
then you can see in the gears on the right hand side
Yeah.
that are
Here.
spinning. Yep. That is what it's different aggressiveness levels and then different weights, etc. And it basically strips the plant. So
Yeah.
what you can see in this picture right here is a hemp stalk is made up of fiber
Want to get
and
it done.
hurd.
If you want to get it done, you got to show
Whoop.
up. If you don't
You got to
show up,
sit
it's
Yep.
down. Yep.
And so what that decorticator does is it essentially strips the fiber from the hurd And so you can see it separated on that. So what you see coming out and up the conveyors, that's your hurd production.
Got it.
And then the fiber is getting shot out the other side of the machine.
And what are we looking at in your hand right here?
That is actually hemp seed. So we are getting ready to plant probably within the next 30 days is where our target plant date is for fiber production. And right now seeds we're really in the infancy stages. So a lot of people don't realize corn breeding started back in the 1860s. And that's, just your basic breeding, crossbreeding. And then you got into genetically modified, which is a whole different ball game. And, whether you believe in them or not, they happened. And then now we're into CRISPR methods, et cetera, for increasing corn production. Mm-hmm. And hemp is on year 6. Like if we started in 2014, which only 4 states did, they weren't focused on fiber and grain because, again, the CBD production. And so we're really just now seeing the effects of different breeding methods in hemp production. So that's our case combine. We use a draper head which is the same as we use for corn or wheat. Or I'm sorry, not corn or wheat, soybeans or wheat. And we're basically raising it all the way up and bringing in that grain, which is going to go through our grain tank. And then the flour is going to be spit out the back on the ground. And then the grain goes into the tank, which will go to the dryers. And then eventually we'll go to the crushers, the seed crushers for oil. So that's kind of what we're doing there.
Yeah. And it was funny. We were talking offline. I want everybody to know, because these plants, they do look, if I can get back to where that plant was, right. It does look like marijuana, right? It really does. And you were saying that, people are stopping by and not taking it, thinking they can smoke it when it's not marijuana, but they're taking pictures, and you guys actually put a photo op up for everybody to stop and take photos with. That's kind of what you see happening, right? It's the opposite of what you thought.
Yeah, we put there's signs everywhere. This is our KDA, our industrial hemp license grower number. Like you can see in that picture, if you go up above, let's see, next to the seeds, that's some of our hemp. Yeah. And this, it grows extremely fast. So you can see it's got the 5-finger leaf. It's the same as a marijuana plant. A lot of people, this is how I do start my educational talks. When you think of cannabis, you think of marijuana. But what actually cannabis, it's kind of like when you go to the supermarket and you need peppers. So you've got a bell pepper and you've got a jalapeno pepper. While they're both peppers, they're 2 very different peppers. Well, you've got hemp and you've got marijuana. They're both cannabis, but they're 2 very different types of cannabis. And so that's a way to make it relatable.
Right.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. And you drive all this equipment as well. I think I saw a picture up here. You are in the one of the tractors, right?
Yeah. So I can run any of the same machines. I run our spray program and our drilling program on the farm. Richie handles the other combine. I've actually got my own combine, planter, and drill that I use for my research facility. Okay. No, I'm in the trenches just like the boys, and we just get it done.
No, I think it's great. I honestly, we need more innovative thinkers like yourself in the industry. And you can see on here, you are posting. I saw the comment in one of your posts there that said, I think he said, this lady's on every day, posting information. It's super informative, which I think is absolutely amazing, right? So I think that's you sitting in the field.
Yeah,
after you cleaned it.
That was actually, you're kind of in the December area. So if we'll keep scrolling down, we'll get back to the summer months. Okay. But we had 100-mile-an-hour winds in December 15th. And there was a lot of damage to our hemp from static electricity. Or I'm sorry, not hemp, our winter wheat from static electricity. So I do education on hemp, but I also talk about farming practices. I talk about different growing techniques. Basically, I plan none of my posts every day. It's whatever I'm doing on the farm. Yeah. And I just love sharing about agriculture because people don't even realize what we do.
Right. Well, and there's a lot of innovation in agriculture. A lot of people don't even understand it. The fun thing is your industry is more advanced than the construction industry.
Yeah.
It's not hard to believe. It is, the technology and the science behind what you do in the farming world, according to some of the studies out there, is far more advanced than what we've done in the building world in well over 100 years.
Yeah. So, okay. So you're starting to get towards fall. That's September. So this is once the hemp is laid down. It's been sickle barred, and we're putting it into windrows. So this is called a rake, and it turns the hemp over. So retting is the process that breaks down the layer of pectin. Pectin is like nature's glue. It's what binds the fiber to the hurd. So in order for our machine to be more efficient at the processing facility, we actually ret our material, which we break down that pectin in the field. And so you turn it over so that way the sun and the moisture can do its thing, and that's how that breakdown starts. And so that's what that rake is doing.
Got it. Turning it over so for the processing, and then you come by and you pick it up with the combine. Is that what it is?
Well, actually, once you rake it and you put it into those windrows, from there it goes to a baler, and the bales they'll just go up from there.
Well, I mean, I think this is absolutely amazing that you put all these videos up, and you know what, you have a radio show, you said, as well. Let me just put that right. So you do an actual radio show.
Yeah, first Tuesday of every month we work with our local radio station. So one of the things that's pretty interesting about hemp is there's a lot of ways that we cannot advertise. So I can't do a Facebook ad, I can't do a Google ad. There's a lot of things because we're still under the cannabis umbrella. Right. But our local community has been so supportive in our endeavors. The radio station reached out and they said, why don't you do a radio show? So we do a 30-minute talk show radio show the first Tuesday of every month. It's a blast. We get to share what we're doing. Even down to banks, you know, most people were getting their bank accounts frozen if they were in the hemp industry. So we went to our local bank and we said, hey, we've been with you for decades. This is what we want to do. Can you find a way to support us? You know, and they said, absolutely. Was there a few hoops to jump through? Yes, absolutely. But that's just kind of part of it.
Love it. Fisher of Men, thank you for joining us on the YouTube today. What is the minimum amount you would suggest growing for the first-time grower just looking to get their foot in the door?
Yeah, so what we do when we talk to farmers about first-time growing, what is your level of risk? You know, if you have 10,000 acres on your farm and you want to put 100 acres of hemp in, that risk is going to be pretty minimal to you because your input costs are going to be very low because you're buying in bulk. Now, if you're a 300-acre farm, we would not suggest putting 100 acres in for your first time because that is 1/3 of your potential income. And so, but at the end of the day, it's the farmer's assessment of risk that's going to decide that. If he's got the bumper and has got the funds to put in 100 acres and he's a 300-acre farm, we're there to support him. But they have to determine that level of risk because there's not great crop insurance right now for fiber and grain. And so you know that Mother Nature may wipe out your crop. Seed selection is extremely important because there's a lot of non-certified seed out there that it performs very well. And again, that's just more regulation that we're working to get developed within the industry. Right. It's coming, it just takes time. So again, understanding your level of risk and how much you can afford to lose. So if you make absolutely $0 on that acres, can you keep your operation open? That's what we suggest.
Perfect. Thanks, Fisher of Men, for that. Sam Berger has a question. Is hemp-based ASTM certified? And if not, how are builders using it?
Working on it. So they're using it because it's not a structural component. It's more of an insulation component at this time, and that's how they're getting around that. But the Hemp Building Association, there's a lot of brilliant minds that are working in that, and they've actually submitted codes or submitted the document needed for codes to be developed for hempcrete. So they got that completed in the fall of last year. So we're hoping to get some feedback on that and whether that was approved or not.
Perfect, Sam. Thank you for that question. Great question. George Ryman says, good morning from Phoenix, Arizona. What's happening, George? Thank you for tuning in today. And we also have Michael Bruce. Michael says, very interesting. Would be interested in learning more about 3D printing aspects. Yeah, I mean, we can definitely talk a little bit more about that.
So there's two places that I would send you for that. And the only reason I say that is because I'm not an expert at 3D printing. But
not many people are, by the way. Yeah. Just not in houses anyways.
Hemp Vision. Andrew is
Go ahead, put
Yeah.
that up again. I'll put it up on the.
Here you go.
Yep.
Hemp Vision. They're the ones that make the sunglasses and the different products. And you can find them online. Hemp Vision, or
Yeah.
Hemp 3D is also a name that they kind of run under. And Andrew is brilliant. What he's doing, how he's made his different biofilaments, etc.
Right.
Absolutely a wealth of knowledge. So I would suggest looking there first, and he can answer a lot of those questions for you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Michael Bruce. Appreciate it. Well, listen, that's it, man. We're about out of time. So, Melissa, what have I not covered that is super important to you to put out there? Or is there any questions? This is the best way to do it. Is there any questions you wish people would ask you?
You know, people jump into hemp, and there's so many buzzwords that are going around: regenerative ag, carbon capturing, carbon credits on the farming side, carbon credits on the manufacturing side. Really do your homework and vet people. That's why the CBD crash came so hard, is because people did not do their homework, and they signed over their life to these crooks that promised them the world. So if you're going to grow, make sure your processing facility is, I'm going to use the word legit because that's the best word that comes to mind. You know, I know everybody's busy, but go to those facilities. Go to those facilities, because if their machine is not running, then they more than likely are not going to have the funds to purchase your crop at the end of the season. And then, you know, as a manufacturer, work with the processors, because this is a process right now. Like, for instance, the paper pulping industry reached out to me, and they're like, we need 365 million pounds next year.
Right.
That's 1 million pounds a day. And I said, I can't. Every facility in the United States right now couldn't meet that demand, and that's for one contract. And so be realistic about the goals that are happening, and understand that we're growing as fast as possible and as fast as responsibly possible, but it is a process.
Sure. And I think also, like, from listening to you, make sure that, you know, when you say the legality side of it, it's really not just the legality side of it. Is it accepted, and do they define the difference between hemp and marijuana? Right. I guess that's kind of, did they separate the two so it's legal to grow the hemp? I mean, there's, my guess is it varies from state to state.
It's all legal in 50 states now, so you
is.
can grow industrial hemp.
Okay.
And then you have medicinal marijuana and recreational marijuana, which are a whole different ballgame. Hemp has very specific rules. There are some states that the states have actually relinquished the hemp program rights, and so you're monitored by the USDA. So understanding what set of rules you're running under is very, very important. And then just being very open. You know, we were very transparent from the beginning. We were transparent with the bank. We were transparent with, you know, everybody that we worked with, and they really embraced that. And so local law enforcement, we said, come on out. You know, if you don't see us out in the field, feel free to stop by, because someone's probably not supposed to be there. So we've done a lot in knocking down barriers and reducing stigmatism in our community. And it's a really easy conversation to have if you're just transparent and doing it the right way.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate it.
A lot of fun. That went so fast. So
it always does. It flies by. But listen, if people want to get a hold of you, what is your Instagram channel? Just so everybody, I had your Facebook up there. How do they find you on Insta?
South Bend Hemp. And so you can find, South Bend Hemp, South Bend Industrial Hemp, or you can Google us at southbendindustrialhemp.com, and it has all our media links as well. Right.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, listen, appreciate you, Melissa. All right, everybody. That's a wrap for today's show. And that's, I guess, the end of hemp month, right? Is it over? What, in the next today? Tomorrow. Yeah. I know. Hey, it was a good way to wrap it up. We appreciate everything that you and your family does, whether on the hemp side or the farming side. Let you guys know that we are appreciative out here in the Dave Cooper Live community. And I do believe that hemp has a strong future in the building materials space. It's going to keep coming. And as wood and everything else, lumber goes through the roof, it is just opening the doors for more innovative products to come through. And you guys are proof of that happening on a day-to-day basis, doing all the good work. So thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Don't go anywhere. I'll come back to you after the outro. All right, everybody. Listen, that is a wrap for today's show. We will see you this Friday with Mark Bare Naked Willie on building science. So make sure you join us. BS Friday is coming up in just 2 days, 1 p.m. Eastern. Again, thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for watching the show. Make sure you go out and you follow Melissa Nelson and everything that they are doing at South Bend Industrial Hemp. And make sure that you go and subscribe to our YouTube channel right now. We'll see you next time. Bye now.